Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Hello and welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's so nice to have you here with us on USA Global TV and Radio, where we are celebrating 4 years of live streaming. So thank you to each and every one of you who are following us and letting us know how much you love our content. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and our show today is A Woman's Prerogative. And we're going to talk about a very fun topic, things I wish I knew when I was younger, things we wish we knew when we were younger. So I want to get right into the show, and I want to say hello to all of our friends at E360 TV as well. Joining me is my co-host and friend. We've been friends now, working together since 2019. I don't know where the time goes. Her name is MARISKA, and she was formerly in New Zealand, and now she's in Australia. So she is a day ahead of us, and she is a season ahead of us. And she is all things when it comes to coaching leaders and teams. She's also an author, and she is the one who came up with this fabulous topic. Let's welcome her to the program. Hello, Mariska. Good to see you.
Hello, Dr. Jacalyn. And as always, lovely to be here with you and our viewers and listeners, old and new.
Absolutely. And I just shared with you backstage, I can't believe it's another week that has gone by, because I feel like I just saw you, and yet time just goes by. So thank you again for taking this journey. As I mentioned, we met in 2019 when we were taking a life coaching certification course, and so much has transpired since then. So I really appreciate your time and your effort and your friendship.
And so do I.
So let's get into the topic after you introduce yourself to our audience who may not have met you previously. Tell us about what it is that you do to help others and who you help.
So typically I work with leaders and upcoming leaders. So if you are stepping into leadership from a specialization, or you are stepping up within your leadership space. Of course, some of the conversations within that might also be around, well, what am I even doing? How does life work? Because yes, we might be in leadership, but we might not be in the place or the industry that we are called to be in yet. Or we might need to transition to another place. So within those realms, that's where I work. And we do this through a variety of different ways. We do some training. We also do coaching with leaders, as well as teamwork. So if you have a team that you are working with, seeing how that team dynamics works. So that's all the stuff and people that I work with. And yeah, if it is that you want to bring more humanness into your workspace or within your own area, even that you are working, and you are thinking of how you can, you are really good with your technical skills, but you need to bring some human skills into that space, because AI can do a lot of things, but it cannot be a human. So if that's something that you are interested in and you want to get better at, I would be the person that you can contact to help you out with any of those things. And with that, Dr. Jacalyn, as you mentioned, I am really, really excited about this topic.
Fantastic. And we do have a comment, someone asking us if we are AI. No, we're not AI. We are real human people who are doing the show. So let us move into the subject. And the subject is what we wish we knew when we were younger. So what is it that came up for you when you came up with this topic?
Well, I was doing some reflection just in general around if I knew when I was 16 that I would sit where I am today, right? What might I tell my 16-year-old? What opportunities would I tell my 16-year-old to take? What would I tell my 16-year-old to do? Might be a little bit older year-old, 20-year-old potentially. But what would those conversations be? What would I really think about would be helpful for me as the younger me, that would help me through the trials and tribulations that is life? So that's the reason I came up with the topic. I thought, well, I'm wondering about it. I wonder what Dr. Jacalyn has to say about this. I would like to pick her brain. So I posted the topic so that we could chat about it.
I do love it. Well, I think based on what you just said, what I would say is when I was younger, I had a dream, and the dream is I would be a singer. That was kind of what my real full-time dream was. You know, some people would say I want to be a fireman, I want to be an astronaut, but I wanted to be a singer. And I was told that I didn't have a good voice. As I got older, people would be like, why are you singing? You don't have a good voice. Just a few people, not the masses per se. And then I went and recorded a single, which I think is pretty good. It may not be the best work out there, but it's mastered by Abbey Road. And so the point is that I would tell my younger self not to listen to what other people have to say. Don't look for external validation, because when you look for someone else to give you applause, when you look for someone else to say, hey, good job, it might not be there. And people, for whatever reason, generally want the best for others, but there are some out there who don't. Some people who want you to fall, some people who want you to fail. And so don't listen to what other people have to say. Follow your dreams, follow your heart.
I love that. I am sure that your younger self would really appreciate that advice too.
Yeah. So is there something, and I think I know the answer, but for audience, is there something that you were told that you might not be good at or you might not excel at, and it was something special to you and you decided to go ahead with it anyway?
Let's see. Well, I know something that it's not necessarily that I was told that I couldn't. I was in the work realm, I think very privileged with a father that said, do whatever you are passionate about. So I've always had the encouragement to go out and do what I am passionate about. What I did want to do, though, when I was little, is I wanted to be a vet. Wanted to be a veterinarian and work with animals and help them to heal and get better and be healthy and just play around and have fun. And one day we had a bit of an incident on the farm where one of our cows needed to get an operation, and I came to the conclusion that veterinary practice might not be it for me, which is good because I realized that at a young enough age that I could actually pivot and decide to go and study something else. It would have been horrible if I put a couple of years into veterinary practice, go into a lab, and then discover that I couldn't actually work on said animals. So I'm very fortunate for when it happened and that I realized soon enough that this was most probably not my calling. But because my dad was very encouraging around doing what you love to do, I ended up studying engineering. And I know, and this is something that I hear a lot, especially in the engineering field. A lot of ladies or women within that space really struggle because there's not a lot of us. It is a field where it is very male dominated to a degree still. And depending on which country you live in, you may or may not have support. So I was fortunate that at home I had support. While I was studying, it was sort of, I was a novelty. I think in my first 2 years, there was 4 of us. In the rest of the years, we dwindled down to 2 and then just me. So it sort of gives you an idea of the amount of ladies that go through the process and actually finish off because of the types of pressure that we have. And it was very interesting once I got into the workforce that stuff like restroom facilities, right? They don't have it in a plant, or they didn't have at that time. Oh, sorry. My eye is doing weird things at the moment, and it's very annoying. So being able to just do all of that, I think for me, and having a dream and going, oh, there's all these people saying all these different things. I was just happy to have people that supported me. But I do know that there's a lot of people that don't have that. So the people we surround ourselves with makes such a big difference.
Huge, huge. Absolutely. Well, thanks for sharing that. That's a good one. I think what I would also share is take risks. Go out and take risks and take new opportunities and see where it leads. Now, that doesn't mean you just don't think about it or don't do some type of reward risk kind of situation, but it makes sense to put yourself out there and try new things. So I really think that welcoming new opportunities. I mean, for example, I went and got my doctorate, which was really a difficult thing to do, as you know. And I did it at the same time that I was working full time and I had a part-time job. And if I had listened to everyone else who told me not to get my doctorate, I wouldn't be here today as Dr. Kerbeck. And that means a lot to me. And it doesn't have to mean anything to anyone else. But I've been able to take that and then trademark Dr. Jacalyn, which is my branding here on USA Global TV and radio, and for all of my books and my master classes. So I think taking some risks and putting yourself out there, you know, one thing my father used to say to me, and I know you've heard this before, but people can take a lot away from you, but they can't take away your education.
That is true. The skills that we build for ourselves, I think, is so, so precious. And people try to acquire things, right? They want to have the flashy car, the flashy house, the flashy, whatever the flashy is for them. But all of those things can be lost. And technically, none of those things go with you ever, right? They're going to stay behind. Once you pass on and you're not on this planet anymore, those things stay behind. They're going to be gifted to other people, or hopefully family, if that's possible. But the knowledge and the skills we gain, that's our own. That we carry with us. That's the things we learn. That's how we grow. And that might be why I also love learning so much, is because of exactly what you mentioned, Dr. Jacalyn, it is good to take those risks. And that's something that I would also tell my younger self, is take risks. I think there's a lot of times where I was either given an opportunity to try something out and I backed away because I didn't feel ready yet. Or I just didn't feel, I don't know what it is. Is it a confidence thing? Is it an imposter thing? It might be a variety of different things that got into my head at that point in time. But I really got into my head, right? I got in my own way and didn't step into taking that risk. I had a fascinating conversation with a client the other day, and we spoke about risk and the way that people perceive risk and think about risk. And the biggest thing about risk is thinking about, well, what is it that can happen, right? What can possibly go wrong? Is there any mitigations for that? And am I okay if it goes wrong? Will I be fine with it going wrong? And I think for me, when I was younger, I had a very big thing about failing. It felt detrimental. It felt life-threatening. And over time, I came to the conclusion that it's actually just, if I look at it as an experiment, it's fine. I mean, failing is part of learning, because if I don't fail, I won't know that this doesn't quite work in this type of situation. So I need to try things out and see what happens and fail and then get better at it, rather than not try things out and not fail at all, because now I'm not participating in life or anything really, and not learn. So that would be something that I would tell myself is experiment wildly with everything so that you can fail and fail and fail and fail and get that muscle really well developed, so that it doesn't bother you that you're failing. It was just an experiment and you can try it again next time around. I mean, we of course want to make sure that the failure isn't detrimental, right? The failure isn't equal to death, physical death, because it's going to take a while for you to try again. But anything else, and that's why we do risk assessments. And I'm sure, Dr. Jacalyn, with the new training that you are doing, you are also going to learn about risk assessments and what it entails to make sure that you mitigate those risks and what's involved in the risks that you might need to take or not take.
Absolutely. In this program that I'm in for Wharton, the Chief Strategy Officer, it's really enlightening. And I'll tell you about it sometime offline, but just looking at real companies and decisions that they've had to make and how the decisions played out, and looking at all the possibilities and doing what's called a pre-mortem instead of a post-mortem after the thing doesn't work, but looking to predict everything that could possibly go wrong and what would be the results of that. It's really game changing. So I'm grateful that I have that. And something else that I would also share, because I was really criticized for this. I've done a lot of things part-time, like side gigs, which I absolutely love. My favorite was doing makeovers for Clinique and Chanel and Estee Lauder and Laura Mercier. And it was just so much fun. And who knew I would be using that today? I've got my own little makeup counter set up over there. But when you learn new things, it really helps you grow as a person. So I feel like we don't have to do the same thing day in and day out. We can actually branch out and learn other things. And even getting education, even getting certified to teach coaching, you don't have to have as many certifications as you do. You don't have to put all the time in. And so you have, and it makes you a very interesting person. So I think that when we do branch out and do other things, it's more interesting. We have more things to talk about as human beings. What do you think?
It is. It's almost like we come in and we are a pencil sketch on a piece of paper, and it's sort of black and white, right? There's basic outlines, but nothing has been filled in yet. And as we live life, as we learn new things, we get to get different sort of crayons or coloring forms. It might be coloring pens, it might be pencils, it might be paint. So the mediums might be different and the colors might be different. And this makes our pictures so much more interesting as we start to fill it in as we go through life. And if we don't learn, right, we might just be stuck with either one medium, one color, and then, well, I guess you can do a monochrome picture, but they can only be so interesting. So being able to play more of those color notes, or if you think about music, playing more of the piano, because we only start with one key initially. We need to be able to play more of them to bring out a good piece of music instead of just a ding, ding, ding sort of sound. So yeah, learning, getting better. And for most of us, that's part of the course. That's why we are here. That is what we are doing. Not necessarily all of us. There's some of us that not necessarily need to learn. Might be that we're on a little bit of a holiday. And we've been given a whole bunch of crayons up front. But for most of us, learning is part of what we want to be doing. And as souls, this is good. It helps us to become more holistic, whole as a soul in general, so that we can play all the different types of beingness in all possible circumstances. And I'm sure that you have if you think about a person that you've met that you really, really look up to, and they are somebody that comes across and is really great in what they do and very grounded and humble in all areas of their life, those souls we resonate with, right? We're drawn to them. Now, part of it is for us to also become one of them and not just leave it for others to do. Yes, we can also do it. We just need to find out how it works for ourselves. And that's part of what we learn. So that's another thing that I would most probably remind my younger self is, hey, you are here to learn, so go nuts. I know that you might not enjoy school all that much because sometimes the social pieces of it for me sucked. And then that is also part of the learning, right? Those social interactions are part of what we need to learn, how to be with other human beings and how to be able to have conversations and potentially conflicting ideas about things and come up with something maybe even better than we thought of by ourselves.
Agreed. Yeah, I think that's another great point. And I think also what's important that I would say to my younger self, I remember when I was in high school and there were these cliques, there were the jocks and the intelligent people and the druggies, and there were all these different groups, right? Which today seems very judgmental labeling, but that's what it was back then. And it's hard to fit in sometimes. And we really take that so personally. And yet, as we get older, we are not even in touch with those people. And it's kind of like, wow, why did I go through all that? So it's okay to be different. It's okay to not fit in. And it's okay not to need external validation, just to stand on your own and just to represent whatever it is that you represent. And I think as we get older, that's actually a strength because it's this confidence and it's this presence and how we carry ourselves instead of always looking over our shoulder for someone to tell us how great we are.
Yeah. Yes. I think and I mean, it is part of the learning journey, right? We want to initially have people say, oh, good job. And you did well. And you're so brilliant. And I mean, belonging really starts within ourselves. If we feel that we belong, regardless of, then other people will be drawn to that. So it is interesting how the things that we want, no matter what age we are, but the thing that it is that we are yearning for really starts within ourselves first. And we need to change that part that goes from yearning it to living it. And then once we are living it, it will start to show up around us because of that change. It's a little bit like if you put your hands together with somebody else and they're just touching, right? And now all of a sudden, one of you starts to push. Automatically, the other person will start to push back. And that's a little bit the same with what's happening inside of us. So if we have this yearning for, it's almost like a magnet that's expelling its magnetism. So it's not drawing it in, it is actually pushing away. If we have turned it around and we have become the thing that we yearned for, then it pulls towards us. And that's something that maybe my younger self might also be well advised in, is to think about what is it that we are actually emitting into the world, and that yearning that we have, what is behind the yearning so that I can become it, so I can start to pull it towards me instead of pushing it away from me. So yes, loads of learning I am discovering at the moment.
And another thing I would share is whomever it is that we bring into our life as our life partner, which sometimes that's for a day, a week, a year, whatever it might be, make sure they're worthy. Make sure they treat you like you want to be treated. Make sure they respect you, because wasting time with people who don't respect us and who don't treat us well is one of the worst things that can happen for your self-esteem and even for your health. And yet I know myself, I stayed in relationships that were doomed from the beginning. And other young women I see, you know, kind of desperate to settle down. Now, it's interesting, the younger generations, it doesn't seem they're as desperate to settle down, but making a good choice, that someone who's worthy of you, meaning not that you're better than anyone, but that they actually appreciate you, they respect you, and that they have a special place in their heart for you, and their behavior mirrors that.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And it is interesting how it's almost like we go through phases. And at some point, I mean, the younger generation at the moment, they don't want to get married that young, right? But at some point, most probably they want to get married. At some point, they might want to get into a relationship. And understanding that Dr. Jacalyn, what you mentioned, make sure that the person value you. They will only value you as much as you value yourself. And again, it's coming from inside. So if we are down on ourselves, if we are having all of this negative self-talk, the likelihood of us drawing that to us from an external person is increased, right? It's not necessarily a guarantee, but it is increased. So we want to make sure that we are emitting love and compassion and caring for humanity, just as a general concept, and for ourselves, so that we know that when a person steps into our life, we can see the red flags really easily and go, you know what? No, you are not my person. I am not interested. Or we can see the person that is really caring and understanding and wants to be with us and wants to be equal, so that we don't have a codependent relationship of some sort. That then becomes what we are creating together in the world. And sometimes, I mean, it might not be there for us yet, right? So sometimes we need to go through some of those sucky relationships so we can get to the other side of them and go, you know what? No, I am worth more than this. I'm not going to stand for it anymore. And then, to your point, Dr. Jacalyn, you might have a few that lasts a day, a week, a month, or a year.
Absolutely. And that brings me to my next point, which is to respect ourselves, like you were saying, self-esteem, and not beat ourselves up. We're so tough on ourselves. I know I've always been my worst critic, so I'm just putting it out there that I'm raising my hand. It's me as well. But we beat ourselves up and we're so mean to ourselves. It's like calling ourselves names and just putting ourselves down. So I would tell my younger self not to do that. I would say just respect who you are and look at all the good things. And if there are things to work on, sure, take them on, be aware of them, and then make it a point to have a why. If you're going to work on something, what is the why? Because once we forget the why, we typically change our behavior and we go back to what we were doing from the very beginning. So loving ourselves, respecting ourselves, and actually realizing that every day is a gift. I think that's so important. And I have shared this before, but my mother used to say, you know, right before she died, she would say, like the last year, she would say, I'm just happy to wake up and be here for another day. And I used to think that was kind of ridiculous. And I would say that to her. And now I get it. You know, now I really get it. So that was someone who was older, you know, having an influence. So that's what I would say, that every day we're here is a gift and we get a choice of how we want to spend it. So loving and appreciating ourselves, and then having like-minded people who are also appreciative and respectful is really important.
Yeah. And that every day is a gift. Really, it's almost like I want it to sink in. It is a gift. You are not owed it, right? It can be gone at any moment for anybody at any age. We don't know when our time is the time. So it's a gift. It's a gift. You have a gift of 24 hours. And you can decide what you want to do with that 24 hours. So if the conversation you have with your loved ones is the very, very last one you ever have, what type of conversation would you want to have? If the conversation with your colleagues is the very last one that you ever have, what is it that you need to resolve to make sure that your page is clean? It's a gift. You have 24 hours. We are so used to go, oh yeah, I'll wake up tomorrow. I'll do that next month. I'll do this in a year, whatever the case might be. You have this 24 hours. It's the only 24 hours that you are guaranteed of. Well, technically, this minute, this very present minute, is the only time that you are guaranteed of. Nothing else, nothing more. So think about that for a bit. Really, really think about that. And then see what it is that you might need to alter or change for yourself and maybe for those around you, so that you can all have a pleasant experience on this planet.
Absolutely. And Mariska, I think that we really should talk about the fact that neither one of us had television experience, and here we are years later on TV. So what would you say to someone when an opportunity comes and they might be insecure? How does someone know if they should give it a shot, if they should take the risk, put themselves out there to do something that they've never done or that feels uncomfortable?
I think if it is something that you are drawn to and you feel uncomfortable for whatever reason, I'm not enough, I don't know enough, there's a million things that we can think of. Our brains are very busy with convincing us not to do things, right? So if you come to that thing and for whatever reason your brain is busy convincing you not to do it, then think about what can potentially happen and then mitigate if there's anything that you aren't okay with happening. And also think about how likely is that to happen. So sometimes we think about things and, well, the likelihood of it happening is like 1 in a million, right? And if I am unlucky enough that I am the 1 in the million, well, I've saved another million people from that embarrassment. Great for them. And I'll just take it on. So that's my way of reasoning about it. But think about what's the likelihood of it happening. You will most probably not be the 1 in a million. You will most probably be one of the other ones. And then take it on. And if it still scares you too much, go and have a look at making small little steps. So it might be that a video or a TV presentation like this feels too big for you. Start off with a podcast, right? Do something small first. And podcast might still feel too big for you. Start off with just recording yourself and then playing it for your friends. At least then you have some practice. You can see how to interact. You can see what works. You can see what doesn't work. And I am sure if you go back on our very, very big pile of different YouTube videos that we have, between me and Dr. Jacalyn, you might see that when we started out, yeah, some of it wasn't that great, right? And that's fine because we were still learning. And we put ourselves out there so that we could start to learn. And the more we do anything, the better we get at it, the more skilled we become in it. And you can learn any of this. This is even rocket science you can learn. And this isn't rocket science, right? This is really, really not rocket science. You can learn the tech that you need to learn, if and where there's tech. You can learn presentation skills. You can learn interaction skills. You can learn all of these different things. You can learn how to do that. And once you've learned it, I mean, then you can go anywhere. You can have presentations at work. You can even video call and make sure that you keep your training engaged. You can do all sorts of things once you have learned the skills. And I was lucky enough to have Dr. Jacalyn that started the network, and we started together to play around with this. And it is never, ever, ever too early to start. So if this is something that you want to do, if it intrigues you, even just a little bit, let Dr. Jacalyn know and start your journey so that you can start getting better and better and better at it. And Dr. Jacalyn, of course, has loads of resources to help you out. So you are in good hands.
Thank you, Mariska. That's totally unscripted. I really appreciate it. You know, I shared with you, I started a new show today. Let me see if I have the show graphic. And this is it. It's What You Were Never Taught. And I did it because I really love broadcasting. Like, it's kind of crazy because I already did a number of different shows today, but it really gets into your blood. And I feel like for some of us, we keep coming back, we have more to share. We have more education, and it's actually fun. It's actually, to me, I love it. And I can't believe that it took all these years to get to do it when I was doing something completely different in corporate. Isn't that funny?
It is. It's almost like we needed to go through a bit of a scrubbing and getting rid of all the scale that's around us so that we can be our brilliant self. And you might not be singing on stage, but you are definitely making an impact on TV.
Well, thank you. You know, I just want to say one thing about the song. I'm glad that I did it, and I don't have a desire to do any more of it. So it's kind of like one and done, and I put it out there. And if I get royalties of $1, that will be huge. But because I think you get paid 1 cent or something every time. I don't even know, but it's nothing you could ever retire on, believe me. But I did it, and I'm glad that I did it. And so it's kind of out of my system, and I'm on to other things. So that's another thing that I would share with our viewers, that when we're younger, first of all, I remember thinking I was invincible, that nothing was going to take me down. And as you get older, you realize different things do try to take you down. So you have to be prepared for that. But go and follow your dreams. Do something that makes you really happy, that you'll look back when I'm going to be 63 in March. And looking back, I'm kind of like, wow, I can't believe I get to do this. I get to do this. And there are things in my life that were not as much fun. We're not as rewarding. The pay isn't that great, but the pay used to be really good, and I wasn't that happy. So I'm really thrilled with where I am today. So that's what I would say to my younger self, is go out there and do things that really make your heart sing.
Yes, I am with you on that. I mean, otherwise, why are you doing it, right? Why are you living? Just to keep yourself alive and miserable? That sort of sounds sad. It really, to me, it does. I had a person that worked for me while I was still in corporate myself, and they asked me whether they could start an apprenticeship. And at that stage, my question to them was, why would you like to start this apprenticeship? Because I really wanted to understand. I mean, I don't mind for you to start the apprenticeship. I would happily pay for it. But I want to understand why it's important to you to do the apprenticeship. Because I couldn't really see any passion for that person in that specific type of apprenticeship. And they ummed and ahed a little bit. So I asked them what it is that they would do without any pay whatsoever. And they told me what they would do without any pay whatsoever. And I said, okay, that sounds like a lot of fun. And it also sounds like something that you can actually make a business of. So why, again, my question, why would you want to do this apprenticeship? It doesn't have anything to do with what you just mentioned. And about 2 months after that, the person came to me and handed in their resignation and said, well, I went and I had a look, and there's a couple of courses running for the thing that I'm actually really, really interested in, and I'm going to go and do that. And they were, thank goodness, still very, very young. So they went off, and last time I checked, they were still within that industry and enjoying their work. So do that. Do the thing that you are passionate about. And if you have loads of things that you are passionate about, You can do some of them as hobbies and some of them as work, and they don't all need to become work. They can be hobbies and work and combinations of it. So think about how you are creating in your life, and really, really go for the things that gives you life, not just anything to give you money so that you can go and do a hobby. I mean, if the hobby is really the thing that you want to be doing, look at potentially doing that then for a living rather than a hobby. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different things out there, and there's new things every day. So
there you are.
There I am.
There you are. So, wow, we are over our time, which is always good because we enjoyed ourselves, but we've got to get the show on to E360 starting at the top of the hour. So, Mariska, we are pulling up your LinkedIn, which I'm going to show right now. Is that the best way for people to reach you?
Yes. So you can reach me via LinkedIn, and on LinkedIn, you can send me a direct message. When you have the option for connecting, you can also connect with a specialized message. So you can do that too, if you haven't connected with me yet. And we can start our conversation from there. So it's nice and easy. You can alternatively also find me on my website, which I'm not sure whether Dr. Jacalyn will be able to pull that up. But my website is journey2discover.com. Or you can email me. So my email address is Mariska, MARISKA, at journey2discover.com. So you can reach me either one of those three ways. Makes it nice and easy. And that is how you can get hold of me if you are a leader stepping into leadership, going up in your leadership space, or you are just a little bit confused about what you are doing at the moment and you want to transition into something else that gives you life. Please get in touch so that we can start our conversation and see what happens.
All right. Thank you very much. And for those viewers who are listening on a podcast platform after the fact, it's Journey, JOURNEY, 2, Discover, DISCOVER.com. All right, Mariska, thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. And I'll look forward to seeing you again next week.
Very excited.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. Just a quick reminder, if you can go over to our YouTube channels, wherever it is that you're watching or listening right now, please do join our YouTube community. We get real data and information from YouTube, which helps us with our broadcasting. Go to USA Global TV and Radio and Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck on YouTube so we can make sure to continue to bring you content that you find relevant and interesting. All right, we are going to sign off right now. Thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. And Mariska and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Bye for now.
Thank you, viewers and listeners.
Hello, bye for now. It shows it's running, but it's not.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honored to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.